Hello and welcome to my channel, Self-Care with Sue. I am here today to talk sunscreen. I have my handy dandy. This one is eyeNlip Cica Calming Sun Cream, SPF 50 plus, PA+++. I like to make sure I have one that has UVA and UVB protection in it. I can do a whole video. I have 5 or 6 that I really like and a couple that I don't really like so much. But today I just want to talk about the actual application. So I am barefaced. I just did my skincare routine and I'm waiting for everything to soak in. And then I'm going to do my sunscreen. And I wanted to talk about quantity because I know personally I was way underusing sunscreen. I was doing a couple drops here, a couple drops there, rubbing it in, considering it good. And then I found out that there are recommended amounts. The generally accepted ones are either 2 finger lengths or a 1/4 teaspoon for your face and another 1/4 teaspoon for your neck. So I decided to pull out my sunscreen and my 1/4 teaspoon, because when you look at it you think a 1/4 teaspoon's not very much. I'm probably doing that much. But then if I actually measure, like, okay, I would do a dot like this on my forehead and a dot like this on my cheeks, and maybe I would put a little extra on my chin or my nose, and that's about how much sunscreen I was typically using, and it wasn't even half the amount that I needed. So when you actually measure out a 1/4 teaspoon of sunscreen and you look at what that looks like, that's a lot of sunscreen. And there's still some stuck in the spoon. That's a lot of product. And this is where which product you use becomes really important, because if you're using something that's really thick and heavy and greasy, it's going to be almost impossible to get that much sunscreen onto your face and not be wearing a complete mask. But I also wanted to talk about, I'm just sort of scraping it back up so I don't have to waste product, but the other recommendation people do is 2 finger lengths of sunscreen. So I'm going to spread this out along 2 finger lengths, because how thick or how thin your sunscreen is makes such a difference. How thick or how thin of a line you draw with your sunscreen makes such a difference. So I wanted to share, you have to have 2 pretty thick lines of sunscreen on your fingers to count as that not even really fully emptied out 1/4 teaspoon. So when you put your sunscreen on, this is going to be messy. It's a lot. There's a lot of product. If you're not having to work to rub it into your skin, you probably don't have enough. If you're not patting and rubbing to get it to absorb into your skin, you're probably not putting enough. Look at this. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of sunscreen on my skin. I don't usually put it on all at once. I put it in kind of layers, and I usually let it absorb and add more and let it absorb and add more. And I'll bring it down onto my chin and my jawline, but this isn't the dose for like your whole face and neck and chest. So I'll bring it down a little bit, and then I'll do another dose for my chest and bring it up a little bit, so I get my full SPF 50. Because if you're using less than the full amount, you're not getting the full SPF advertised. So if you put on an SPF 50 and you're using that half a dose that I was using, I was getting an SPF probably of roughly like 25, thinking I had a 50. And you know, you might have a 25, 30, 35 in your makeup or in your moisturizer. But again, we're not using this much makeup. We're not using this much moisturizer. This is a lot of product. So you think you're adding a 35, you think you're adding a 20, you're adding 7. You know, you're lucky if you get 10. So your dedicated, separate, high SPF product for your skin that is just your sunscreen is so important, because it's one of the best things you can do to fight your signs of aging, to fight damage, to fight irritation on your skin, to fight cancer, of course. You know, the number one thing, you don't want skin cancer. But so many of your fine lines are sun damage. So many of your dark spots are sun damage. You know, age spots are sun damage. So why not stop the damage before you get it? And then you're not going to be spending money and time and effort and, you know, trying every new thing to reverse the damage that you're doing, like I was doing, because I thought I was more protected than I was. And then once you do this, you're supposed to reapply sunscreen if you're out in the sun every 2 hours. And I know I don't do that. And I should. I try. But if I have makeup on, I'm a lot less likely to reapply. So, you know, a spray, or they do ones that are sort of a gel base that you can pat on with a sponge. Those are your better options for reapplying. But know yourself. If you're not going to reapply, make sure you're at least starting with a really good base of full protection. And maybe, you know, if you're out in the sun, because I don't spend a lot of time out in the sun with makeup on. If I'm putting my makeup on, it's because I'm going to be mostly indoors. If I'm out in the garden, or if I'm going out to a park, I don't put my makeup on, and then I feel more comfortable reapplying sunscreen. So it's also just, you know yourself, know what you're likely to do. Know if you're going to really reapply. Know how much you're going to reapply. You know, if you're going to use a spray to reapply, grab your spoon and spray out the whole quarter of a teaspoon and see how much you need to, like 12 sprays. You know, it's not going to be spritz and you're covered. The mineral powders, how much powder are you actually packing onto your skin to get any SPF out of it? Again, you're lucky if you're going to spritz a little powder, whatever, and even get 10. So this is just my little PSA. I know the weather is turning colder. We're coming out of the summer. We're less focused on, fun in the sun. It's, time spent at the beach, stuff like that. But running errands, going shopping, UV damage happens little by little, day after day. So just give yourself that base of protection, prevent the damage you can, prevent the free radicals, prevent the possible cancer, wrinkles, the sunspots, the freckles. I know people love freckles these days. They paint them on, they draw them on. That's a lot healthier than having them yourself, because they can't turn into cancer. So this is just my little video on make yourself absolutely sticky and shiny with your sunscreen. Let it sit for 10 minutes before you try to put makeup over it, but get yourself properly protected. Okay, thank you. Bye.